Hi, I'm Claire, and today we're going to do a little bit of a catch-up about all of the things. Today's video is going to be a little bit of a reading wrap-up, a little bit of a media wrap-up, a little bit of a wrap-up about what I've been doing. I've got a few favourites to talk about, a couple of announcements as well. I've got some coffee and some very haphazard notes, so without further ado, let's get started. And our first update is about my posting schedule, which has never really been an official thing, but I've always tried to kind of work towards making 2 videos a week on this channel. And as you know, I have been at times successful at this for like short period of times. Like I did 2 videos a week in January and I was really proud of myself for that, but then I'm massively burnt out and I've come to realize that 2 videos a week is just not something I'm able to do right now and make the kind of videos that I want to be making and the quality of videos that I want to be making. So I'm officially rolling it back to 1 video a week. I have ideas for more than 2 videos a week. I just can't actually get those done in the time that I have for making videos. So knowing that, I've just decided I'd much rather make fewer videos and be able to kind of push myself and make videos that I'm happier with. Not that I think there was much wrong with the videos I was making before, but I was really pushing myself to the limit of what I could do in the time that I could do it, just to make videos that were kind of the same like level of quality as I'd been making for a while. I felt like I wasn't like getting better at making videos. And looking back on February, March and April, in February I made 1 video a week because I was too burnt out to make more than 1 video a week, and in March I kind of made that decision to roll it back to 1 a week and see how I liked that, just planning for 1 video a week. And I've been very happy with the content that I've made in the last couple of months. I've made my little mini series about science fiction and fantasy media other than books, which started as a booktube SFF Babbles prompt, but then I really liked it and made a whole video about sci-fi media I love, fantasy media I love, and another one about adaptations I love. And those videos took a long time to prepare and write and film and edit and all of that, but I'm really happy with them, and I want to be doing more stuff like that and kind of talk about more different types of media as well as books. Like the bookish videos are not going anywhere. Over there on my dresser I've got a big pile of new books, and I'm waiting for just 1 more thing that I've ordered to arrive before I film a new book haul. So let's start by talking about all the books I read in the last couple of months. There were 8 of them, and 5 of those books were from the Encrypted series by Seanan McGuire. I read the first 2 books in the series last year or 2 years ago, and I really loved them. The series is all about a family of cryptozoologists, which means that they study like monsters and magical creatures. The first 2 books, Discount Armageddon and Midnight Blue Light Special, are all about Verity, who is the oldest daughter in the family. She's in New York and she's juggling life as a competitive ballroom dancer as well as cryptozoologist, where she kind of looks after the cryptid population of New York and makes sure that no human hurt them, but they also don't hurt any humans in return. Then we've got Half of Ragnarok and Pocket Apocalypse, which follow Verity's brother Alex. He's also a cryptozoologist, but he focuses on snakes. He works in a zoo taking care of the reptile house, and his girlfriend Shelley also works there and takes care of the big cats. Now in the first book they have to like figure out what's petrifying people in the zoo and turning them to stone, and in the second book they go to Australia to see Shelley's family and also figure out a problem with werewolves. I liked those books, but they were not my favorites in the series. In fact, it's mostly Pocket Apocalypse that I didn't like as much, because even though I like Alex and Shelley as characters, like a large portion of this book focuses on the fact that they are visiting Shelley's family and that Shelley's dad is really angry that she has a boyfriend. And it's like, she's what, 25, 30? She's, you know, a professional with a university degree who works abroad, and her dad is like, oh no, she has a boyfriend and they might be having sex. It's weird. I just hate this idea that it's completely normal for parents in general and fathers in particular to like not want daughters to like have happy, meaningful relationships, because that might involve them having, no, I mean, I mean, the mystery itself was fine. It's just a trope in literature and media that I really don't like and don't get and doesn't feel true to life. I mean, they're really serious about each other and they're clearly like really good for each other and quite happy, and like the amount of vitriol that we could see coming from the dad, like at some point I just wanted him to get eaten by a werewolf. The next book in the series I liked a whole lot better. It is Chaos Choreography, and we go back to Verity's storyline, and she goes on Dancing with the Stars, the All-Stars season, because it's a thing mentioned in her backstory in the first couple books that she was once on Dancing with the Stars, and in this one she just goes back to the show for an all-star season, and then there's a snake cult that starts murdering people in the basement of the theatre, and it is all the things that I love. It's set in a theatre, it has like ridiculous reality TV stuff, it has a cult. I was very happy with this book. I just devoured it, and it has like a really cool like changes the game ending, so I'm not gonna say more about that. The next two books, Magic for Nothing and Tricks for Free, are about Antimony, the youngest member of the family, and Antimony is someone that we've kind of heard about before from Verity and from Alex, but we've not really gotten to spend time with her. So in these two books it's really interesting to see her own point of view and how she relates to her siblings. I don't want to say too much about the plots of these books because by now we are getting into like the main arc storyline of the whole series, but in this book there is a lot of going undercover, and as you can see she is in a big circus tent on the cover. That's because she at some point joins the circus, and in this one, as you can see, she's on a roller coaster. That's because she's working at a kind of Disneyland style park. In other non-encrypted news, I finished Bygone Badass Broads, 52 Forgotten Women Who Changed History by Mackenzie Lee. This is a non-fiction book which presents the stories of 52 badass women of history with some really cool illustrations. I keep opening to non-illustrated pages, but there you go. This is the kind of style of illustrations there, and the writing style is really tongue-in-cheek. This is a book that collects some stories that Mackenzie Lee first put out on her Twitter with the hashtag Bygone Badass Broads. So, you know, as far as historical biographies go, this is not like really thorough, but it does include a very thorough bibliography if you read this and think it's cool and you want to look up one or more of the amazing women in it. I really enjoyed reading this. It was a nice thing to read before bed, like 3 or 4 stories about some really cool women every night before going to sleep was really neat. Next up, I read Giant Days Volume 6, which was created and written by John Allison and is illustrated by Max Sarin with colors by Whitney Koger and inks by Liz Fleming. I have talked about this series on the channel a lot before. I absolutely love these books. This is volume 6. The story has progressed quite far now. We are still following 3 friends at university having like slice of life university-y stories and problems, and you know, finding jobs and living in a rundown house, having to deal with annoying neighbors. This is one of the very few non-speculative things that I read. It's not sci-fi or fantasy, it's very contemporary slice of life, and I absolutely adore it. And finally, I read Black Bolt Volume 1 Hard Time. This is written by Saladin Ahmed and illustrated by Christian Ward, with also like signature magnificent Christian Ward colors. Christian Ward also illustrated Odyssey. If you've seen pictures of that floating around online, it's another really colorful comic that he made. This kind of a splash page, you know, that's just really ridiculously vibrant and cool and like trippy. That's very much the style of illustration that you can look forward to in this. This is about Black Bolt, the king of the Inhumans, and in this one he's been stripped of his powers and imprisoned. I'm reading it because it's a finalist for the graphic story Hugo this year, and it's the first time I'm reading about the character of Black Bolt, so it was kind of interesting to get this type of an introduction to him, where it's not at all an origin story, but it's him as a king and a superhero being brought down completely low because he's in this prison, he doesn't have his powers, and then he has to kind of deal with people around him that are very different from what he's used to and who are like not particularly happy to have, you know, someone who's a king in their midst. And obviously they are trying to break out of this prison, but it's like a psychic specific prison that's been made to hold superheroes and dampen their powers, and they also like keep dying and being brought back to life. So if you're a fan of time loop stories, Groundhog Day fix, or you know, the movie Groundhog Day, then this might be one for you. Now in terms of media, I'm not gonna lie, the past 2 months have been very much all of the MCU, all of the time, and it's been delightful. I'm a huge fan of the MCU, and of course we had the big event Infinity War happened recently. I made a whole video about it, but even aside from Infinity War, before seeing that, we caught up on Doctor Strange, because that was the one MCU movie in the run-up to Infinity War that I hadn't seen yet, so that was a fun thing to watch. There are issues, but I didn't dislike it as much as I thought that I might. And then recently we also rewatched the first Iron Man movie because it was on the telly. I hadn't seen that for a really long time, and it was really fun to go back and see it again and look at it with fresh eyes. So I've been kind of thinking about maybe doing something MCU related, maybe in future in the run-up to Captain Marvel and Infinity War 2. So we'll have to see about that. Aside from obsessing about the MCU, I have been watching a lot of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I started a rewatch a little while back and kind of got stuck up in early season 3, where I think there's a bit more cringy factor than I can take. But then season 5 finally came on Amazon Prime Video, so that was the push I needed to continue my rewatch from where I was in season 3. I'm now in the middle of rewatching season 4, and then finally I'm going to get the treat of actually being able to watch season 5. Anyway, I said I was going to mention a few of my favorite things instead of doing a full favorites video, and the first one of those things is bullet journaling, I guess. I mean, I mostly want to talk about cute stickers, but cute stickers for me really relates to bullet journaling. So I wanted to show you specifically this page that I made to track my reading progress for the Hugo Awards this year, because I'm voting in the awards and I want to obviously read stuff before I vote on it. And I've got a little page on my bullet journal where I have a list of novels and novellas and novelettes, short stories and graphic stories that are nominated, and then once I read it, I put a little tick mark sticker on the side of it. It's all color coordinated and it makes me very happy to look at. I would show you other pages, but then you would see all my to-dos and how many of them are not in fact done, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. But anyway, one thing that I don't at all mind showing you are the stickers that I use in my bullet journal. I got those adorable owl stickers from Happy Cutie Studios. They also do book stickers and the tiny check marks that I just showed you, as well as as blogging and vlogging stickers where I can put notes in my journal to remind myself to write, film, edit, upload videos, which I find surprisingly helpful. And then I got these ridiculously cute cat stickers from a company called Stickers for Keepers, and they are like just chibi cat illustrations, and because I'm ridiculous I got 3 sheets of them. The same company also sells these adorable like tea and coffee mug stickers, so cats and coffee, very, very on brand. And finally, what I'm reading at the moment is Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. This is a historical fantasy novel set in the Civil War with zombies. And the book follows Jane, a young black woman who was born like 2 days before the dead first rose on the battlefield at Gettysburg. And she is now in her final year of like training in an academy where young black women learn to fight zombies so they can be like a mix between, I guess, a governess and a bodyguard for rich families. This is such a cool premise for world building, and I heard Justina Ireland speak on a podcast where she said that zombie books should be about the world around the zombies and how the zombies affect the world, and that to me is the essence of why I love zombie books. So I'm so excited to see where this goes. I'm like 1 chapter in so far, but I'm really enjoying the writing and Jane's voices already. I have so many other things that I want to read that I, wanted to start a month or so ago but neglected because of my ridiculous encrypted binge. But 2 things I want to prioritize are read-alongs that some of my favorite podcasts are doing. First up, Fangirl Happy Hour is doing a read-along of Robots vs. Fairies. They started this a while back and then I ordered the book, but I haven't started reading along yet. And then the second podcast read along that I want to do, I'm really excited about, the podcast Reading the End that is hosted by the demographically similar Jennies. It is just a great bookish podcast in general, but they've just had a big milestone episode in which they made a whole lot of cool announcements, including a Patreon and very exciting for me, a read along of Lord of the Rings. Now, I haven't read the Lord of the Rings books since like high school, and it's been one of these series of books that's been on my radar of at some point I must reread this for so long, but I haven't started it because, those books are so long. They're reading about a quarter of every book in the trilogy per episode, and that's about 150 pages every 2 weeks, so it's manageable, but I suspect that I'm going to have to save some segments of podcasts for myself for later anyway. I wanted to close the video by thanking a couple of people who've donated to my coffee account. So thank you to Fred and thank you to Jen. Much appreciated. This is at home coffee because I'm filming this in the morning because I'm working later, but I will be going into the coffee shop later and grabbing an iced coffee if the weather holds. So thank you very much for enabling me in that way. If you're interested in supporting what I do, there will be a link to the coffee page in the video description below. And I've also been kind of thinking of and working on the idea of setting up a Patreon account for the channel as well as the podcast for a little while now, because in case you haven't followed, earlier this year YouTube changed the threshold at which people can monetize their videos, and this is why there haven't been any ads on this channel for a little while, because YouTube doesn't consider my channel worth being part of the partner program anymore, so I can't monetize the channel, and I'm not even trying to monetize the podcast. So given that all of it is now ad-free, I thought it might be worth setting up a Patreon. I know, I set up the coffee page and I didn't really expect anybody to donate, and they have. So I've been taking a few notes and figuring out ideas of what I'd like to do for milestones and rewards and all of that. So if you have any ideas or suggestions for things that you've seen in other people's Patreon, things you like, things you don't like, things you would like to see from me, please let me know in the comments below. I have loads of ideas for ways in which I want to level up up the channel and level up the podcast. But of course, I also want to know what you guys would like to see. So this was a lot. I hope you enjoyed this video despite the rambliness. If you've stuck around until the end of the video, well done. I don't know how long this is gonna be when it's edited down, but I've been sat here for literally over an hour, so well done for sticking it out. And thank you. Thank you for being around. If you'd like to see more from me, you can check out a previous video on screen right now. And if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button that's on my face for a new video from me every week. I've been Claire. Thanks so much for watching, and see you soon.